Hi everybody, it's Imogen. Welcome back to Colouring Kid. This video is going to be my completed pages for November, and I just want to say before I start this video that this is a channel made for adult colouring. Even though I'm a kid, it is aimed at adults. I thought I'd say that just because of everything that's been going on. I just want to make that clear, and I'll put it in the description as well. But yeah, I can't believe we're at December already. This will be a tiny bit late just because I'm filming this actually on the 1st of December. But yeah, it has just gone so quickly. And when I was going through my books, I didn't think I'd done that much. But I've actually done quite a bit. So I'm excited to show you what I've done. So I'm going to start with the 2 whips I've got, which I hope to get done at some point. Maybe not this month, just because it's going to be mainly seasonal stuff. So this is Enchanted Forest by Joanna Basford, and this was the one I started. It was the nameplate page, and I started it with Holbein's, and I think because I was doing it whilst I was watching the TV as well, I just didn't get much done, but I was trying really hard to do layering and stuff, and do it how I would with other pencils, because I have done layering and stuff obviously with the Holbein's before, but some of these colours I hadn't really used much, and I really wanted to experiment with them on this paper, and they work really, really well. So I hope to get that done at some point, but again, it might not be this month. So I want to try and get some Christmassy or more Christmassy stuff in, because I obviously got my polar bear pictures in. But yeah, so this is Floribunda. This is one of the books I got from my parents for my birthday. I have just started a page. I haven't really done much yet. I only put a base down for a couple of things, literally nothing the other day. So this is where I've started. So I've put the base down of a limeish green colour for the pod bits and the poppies, and then I've put down a vermilion red colour. This is using my Winsor & Newton inks, so these are the inks that you get in little pots, and I've watered them down. I'm going to go over with pencil, but I thought with these, seeing as it's so thick, it would be really nice to experiment with water medium and things like that. So I'm going to try and experiment with watercolour, gouache and inks for this book, because the paper's amazing, and then I might go over with pencil, or I may choose that actually for some things I might not need to go over them. But I'm really liking how they're laying down, and they work really nicely on this book, so I'm excited to carry on. Again, this might not be one that I carry on with this month, just because I know this month is going to be very busy with people to see and stuff. And I just think that when I do get time to colour, I want to do the seasonal things, because I might do a couple of other things winter related in January, but Christmassy stuff I do want to primarily do this month. So it may be that some of the books that I really like may not get coloured in as much, just because they're not seasonal. Like the Ink House, for example, I really wanted to do pictures in it this month, but I was so tired of being busy anyway, and I wanted to get a couple more of my polar bear pictures done. I didn't manage to get anything done in that this month, but I will definitely do more very soon. So this is Die Welt unter der Lupe zu Wasser by Rita Berman. This is my first page in her book. It's just a small book, but it was for the, I think it was it the Aquatics in November or something like that? Hosted by Kate from Kate's Colouring Haven, even. And it was this one. What I've decided to do in this book is just use watercolour and gouache. So this is actually, I think this is just gouache. Yep, just gouache. And this is an example of where I'm really glad that I've got this nifty tool, because with all of these dots, and I'll show you it here. This is one of the things I bought in the art shop, and I'm going to use it to do dots in gouache, because for all of these gold dots that I put, I was using a paintbrush and it took me such a long time, and I just think getting the gouache on the end and doing it is going to be so much easier. So I'm going to try and do that. But this was using my Arteza 60 gouache. I applied a few layers to it because I started out light, and then I also used the pearlescent ones around the edge. I mean, it's not, I don't really count it as colouring. I guess you can because it's in a colouring book, but it was more painting. But yeah, it was fun, and I need to do more in that, and hopefully more watercolour stuff. Now we come on to all of the polar bear pages that I did for this month. For my colour along, which was polar bears in November. If you have done a page, please feel free to email it to me in the next couple of days, and then I will be doing a video at some point showing all of the entries. So the first one, wait, no. Okay, I've got one page which I'll do in a minute, that's fine. So the first one was from the Illustrated Compendium of Amazing Animal Facts by Marja Safstrom. This was the first one I did, and I did it at the start of the month. And I was doing really well at the start of the month. I was like, oh yeah, I can get loads done. And then as time went by, I realised I needed to do a couple more. So this one is obviously the polar bear page. I can't speak today, so sorry. This is all Prismacolor for the sea, the iceberg and the polar bears. I did a tutorial, well not a tutorial, my colour along. I showed what picture, oh my goodness, colours I used on the polar bears. So it was 10% cool grey, sky blue light, white and a colourless blender, and then rose pink and 20% cool grey for some shadows, all in Prismacolor for those, and that's what I've done for all of my polar bears for my pictures. So usually I don't colour the polar bears because I like them so much and I want to leave them so that I can do them really well, but I thought it was a good opportunity, seeing as it was my birthday month. I was feeling festive, and so yeah, I coloured them. Then I used pastel in the background, and then I got my big Posca and did the dots. And because this paper has a slight ivory colour to it, the dots showed up really, really well. And then I used the silver Uniball Signo to go over all the snowflakes. The snowflakes were already there in black, and I just went over them. So I'm really, really happy with this one. I think this is probably my favourite polar bear one I did out of the four. But I like all of them actually, because I feel like my technique to be able to colour white things has developed, because I didn't used to be very good at doing that, and I think I have got a bit better. So the next one is from A Million Unicorns, Magical Creatures to Colour by Lulu Mayo. This is my second picture in her book, and it was this one. So this was another of my polar bear ones. So I did the polar bears exactly the same principle with the background as well, doing the pastel and then the white dots. Then for everything else, apart from the unicorns, which I coloured in their normal colours, for everything else down here I used my Black Widows, and that was a 72 set with the 324 put together. So I coloured everything, and then I went over with my white Posca on the trees to just add some white. I just kind of dabbed it on and then used a cotton bud to kind of mush it down a bit, to give it the effect that it had snowed. And I used my pastel Poscas, which I'd recently got, on the trees and the buildings, and then I also used a blue Jelly Roll glaze on the windows and a gold Jelly Roll for other bits. So this one again was really cute. I quite liked having this bit, which wasn't the polar bear. The polar bear obviously takes up quite a lot of it, but I really like these central pages. But yeah, I really enjoyed doing it, and it was also quite festive, so that was a nice one to do. Then we have Fantastic Zoo by Cami Chidi. I only did the one, but it was the polar bear page. You can't really tell on camera that I've done a background or that I've coloured the polar bear. I think it's slightly washed out because of the blue in the background. Can't really tell, but from me looking at it, I can tell that I've coloured it. But this one was the with the reindeer, which I did back in July for Christmas in July, and I saved this one for November. So this one, exact same principle with all of the colours for everything. I used the same blues and greys for the polar bear, and then with the Zentangles I used those colours as well, and then I used all of my normal colours for all of the like bases of the animals and stuff. It's exactly the same. I then did the pastel in the background and went over, instead of using my white Signo, I used my big Posca and my thin Posca, and also my... No, sorry, I didn't use my thin Posca. I used the Jelly Roll number 10, and they worked really, really well. So I think I'm going to stick to those for now, because I really like... They flowed really nicely. But yeah, that's how it turned out, and I'm pretty pleased with this. I do like how all of my polar bears came out, because even though they're all the same, they do go together really nicely, and I like colouring the different styles as well. So next we have Sagarok Sagna by Emily Lydhall Oberg. I did manage to finish my polar bear page. This is the final page that I did. Oh no, okay, where is it? Okay, so this is it. So this is quite an unusual colour palette for me, and I'm really glad I kind of experimented with it a bit. So I coloured the polar bear and most of his coat on camera for my colour and chat, and then I might go over and just add a couple more shadows because it does look a bit washed out, or yeah, just define the lines a bit more. But then once I'd coloured that, I was like, well, I need to use the blues and pinky purples somewhere else. But I thought, well, I'll use this colour. So I used the bluey green colour, which I actually really like. I love the colours that I used together. I think they work really, really well. And it's one of those colours that I would never have gone for, but I think it works well on this page. I then utilised the purpley colour again that was here. And I used slightly lighter pinks and purples for the building, because I didn't want to use colours that were a bit boring for the buildings. I kind of just went with something quite bright. And then over that I used my pastel Posca for the dots on his coat. I then used the glaze again and the gold Jelly Roll, and the gold's really nice. It's kind of like a coppery gold and almost slightly glittery as well. It's really nice. And yeah, that was that, and pretty pleased with this one too. So I really enjoyed doing my colour along, and I may choose to do a few others in the future. I probably won't do one every month, but I have to say they are quite a lot of work, and I really appreciate everyone who has coloured a picture for it. If I was to do one again, I probably wouldn't be able to do 4 or so pictures for it. I'm not sure how many I would get done, but I was surprised actually that I managed to do 4. I mean, at the end, you know, this time last week I was finishing up my Fantastic Zoo one, so I did manage to do an extra 2 quite quickly. Next we have Mein Spaziergang durch die Zara-Seiten by Rita Berman, and I finished up the whip that I had last month, which was the pumpkins. I actually managed to finish this quite soon after Halloween, so it's still autumnal, so I didn't mind finishing it. And this one just had a couple of Prismacolors all for the colouring. The colouring I really didn't spend too much time on because they were just quick, easy pumpkins to do. And then I used the Uniball Signo for lots of the... This was fun, doing all of the patterns and stuff, you can probably tell. And then I used 2 different glitter gel pens, a dark and a light orange. And yeah, and I just had fun adding all of the patterns to it. It was really kind of just a mindless thing compared to trying to do really, really good colouring. Because for this book, sometimes I just feel like, just have fun with it. I really want to start, and I should have started it this morning, I just didn't have time, the advent calendar. So I'm going to probably start that either tonight or I'll start it tomorrow, because I want to kind of get a colour palette going for it, so that it's not just, so I kind of know what colours to use each time I'm colouring a day. And I'll probably at some point try and get ahead, so I've coloured all of these little ones that don't have numbers on separately. So I'm really, really looking forward to doing this, and I'm not sure if I'll get the boot done as well, but I may work on this together with this. I work on them at the same time. That's one I really, really want to do, and I'd love to do either of these as well. I think it's going to be quite tight trying to do all of it, but there's so many Christmassy ones I want to do, and I never get around to as many as I want to during the season. Next we have Spirit Animals. I was gifted this by Sue, and this is by Hannah Carlson, and I did my first double page spread in here, and I experimented with the background, which initially went wrong, and then I managed to fix it, and I'll talk about that. So my aim for this page, you probably can't even see all of it. My aim for this page was to use all Black Widows, and that's what I did. And I'm really, really happy that I did, because she also gave me one of the 24 sets of the Black Widows, and I wanted to use them along with this book. So I basically coloured everything apart from all of this blue, purple, all of the jewellery that they're wearing. I'd coloured it quite quickly, and I had also experimented with some Zest It blend, because this paper's quite thick and loads of people use watercolour on it, and I thought, well, I'll try doing a really light bit, so I used it for their clothes and stuff. The fur I didn't, and I'm quite happy with how the fur came out. The deer went as difficult to do as I thought. I was quite scared about doing them, just because they were so cute. And the background, so what I started with the gelato, which was a really nice pink colour, but as I put it down I realised it was too similar to their clothes, and I thought, oh great, this is really not going well, because they were so similar you could barely tell that what they were wearing, and it wasn't good. So then I put a layer of blue acrylic paint over it, so it's kind of a purpley colour, but the purple looked quite washed out, and they didn't really mix together well. So I thought, well, I'll go in with my purple gouache and the bottom instead, and then I ombre'd it with the blue, and now I'm happy with it. I did go over with a bit of blue pastel at the top just so that it fed out a bit, but I think it looks okay, and considering it was my first double spread in any of her books, so I've got this one and Daydreams, I'm happy with it. And it was, when I first saw the book, I knew this was one that I wanted to do. So when I'd finished all of that, I went over with my silver Uniball Signo, a bit of white gel pen, and the gold Jelly Roll as well. And I'm quite happy with the skin. I think I just used 3 main colours, and then I went over with a bit of purple in some places for shadows, and a pink for some blush areas, but I'm quite happy with it. And the paper has stood up to it really well. There was a little random mark here, but that wasn't from my colouring, it must have just been something else. But I've been keeping it in my shelf, and it has flattened out. You can't even really tell, which is great. But yeah, I had fun experimenting with watercolour, and I may choose to use that more. Okay, then we have the flower year. So I completed 1 page in here, and it was the November page. This one, it looks very bright, and it is very bright. Each month I seem to be making a page even brighter. Like when I was doing the October one, wherever it is, I kept thinking how bright that was compared to that. I mean, I tried to make them realistic, and this is realistic, so, well, this is what it was meant to look like. I searched up the things. I used Black Widows for this page, apart from I used Principal Colours for the Purple Berries, because I had started colouring it before my birthday. And yeah, that's this. And then I went over with a little bit of pink pencil for the background. And yeah, not much to say about it really. I mean, it's still not my favourite page in this book, but I'm enjoying slowly working through it. I think I say that every month. I think I dislike my month pages even less each time I'm doing them. But that's fine. That's fine. Hopefully it will balance out a bit when I start colouring other pages. So I'm going to try and start the December one fairly soon. It's quite detailed down here, and hopefully it won't be as bright, and I'm really, really looking forward to colouring the robin. That is going to be so cool. And I'm not sure if that's a robin as well. No, so that's a wren. That's a robin, so that's nice. I've got 2 that I could possibly do. I've coloured those before in another page. I think it was the Boot It one. Oh my god, where is it? Oh, it was literally there the whole time. No, it wasn't. Here. Yeah, I've coloured them there. I'm pretty sure they're the same thing. Once I've done more pages in this book, and I mean like more, once I've done more, I will do a flip through, but I'm nowhere near like 40% at the moment. Or hopefully I'll get some of these done as well, because I haven't done any of these small pages yet where there are just little things. Because usually, and I love this one, because usually what happens is I just spend most of the time doing the month page. But hopefully once I've done the month pages, I can come back and do other things, which would be really nice. Or maybe even do some things in Christmas and July. I really love this wreath one. If you haven't seen Colouring with Elena's one, it's amazing. Like the colours and everything is just, I can't take it. It's gorgeous. I'm not sure if she used watercolour in it. I may have a look at that and see if I can maybe follow along some parts, or at least take inspiration of her colours or something like that. But I absolutely love that. And finally, the last book I have to show you is Botanical Wonderland. I've completed quite a few pages in here this month. I'm really, really liking it. I've got one whip in it so far. I can't remember I can't remember which ones I've showed you and which ones I haven't. And I have a feeling I might not have showed you that one, but I think I have. I'm really confused as to which ones I have showed you. I definitely haven't shown you this one though. This one was a bit of a different colour palette for me, quite bright. I like experimenting a lot in this book. I have so much fun in this. This is just a book where I just do anything. So yeah, I love the purple colour palette that I experimented with. The only thing I would say is that I might go in and like differentiate a bit of this yellow bit at some point. But as for this, so all of these pages are coloured mostly with like Holbeins and Prismacolors and various other pencils, and then for all of them I go over with glitter gel pens, glitter Poscas. I haven't used my pastel Poscas yet, but I will be. I used my gold jelly roll, my silver Signo, my white Posca. That's it, I think. And I just love all the accents. I don't use glitter as such, like stickles and stuff, but I love how the gel pens turn out, and that's enough for me. Then we have this one, which I can't remember if I showed you or not, because I finished it right at the end of last month. This one, again, similar thing, mostly Prismacolors and Holbeins. The paper is so nice in this, and they take pencils really, really well, and it's the same principle again with all of the different accent things. I did some dots in the background and really, really like it. Okay, we then have this one, which I don't remember if I showed you. Sorry if I've already showed you. Getting extra pages that I might not have done. This one, no, I have a feeling I have, because I remember talking about that looking like a pumpkin. But again, exactly the same thing, and this one was quite nice because they were all separate. But I quite like when they're together because it just feels like the page goes more quickly. But that's that one. I didn't feel like it needed a background either, so I just left it. And this is the whip I'm working on. So I started this last night. These reminded me of sunflowers, so I did a variation of the colours. I used some colours that I haven't really used much and experimented with them. And then I've also been experimenting with the layering of certain colours. So this blue colour, for example, has actually got a green on it, and then I've gone over. These greens I've been experimenting with a bit, and I like how it's coming along so far, and hopefully it won't take too much longer. But yeah, that's that one. That reminds me of a cactus as well, so it's really nice kind of using colours that I think would go, because they look similar to other things. So yeah, that's everything I've coloured. I've got a couple of other things to show you. One of them being some of the drawing I've done. So I didn't get round to doing any more drawings from, in the book that I was doing my flowers in, but I did do some Joanna Basford drawings, and I had so much fun. I didn't think I would, but I really did. I was using Botanical Wonderland, and I really, really like that book. It's so good. So this is the De La Roni paper that I got from the art shop because I had my voucher, and I've done 3 pages in it. And the pens I use, well, I've got a mixture. If I just show you here. So I've got 5 pens, but they're all slightly different. So I've got a Micron pen here in 003, 2 Staedtler pigment liners in 0.05 and 0.1, and then 2 uni pens in 0.2 and 0.4. So they are varying brands, but it really doesn't bother me. I really like them, and I got them all separately, and it's fine. So I've got 3 pages in here. This is the first one, which I did. I looked at the wreath one that she'd done, and then kind of based that, I kind of mixed 2 of them together. One of them had these daisy flowers, one of them had the bluebells. I just kind of put them together and did whatever I wanted. And I really like that with her book, because you can just take things and do a variation of it, because you kind of feel confident knowing that she shows you how to do everything anyway. And then I did the bee, which was another example. The paper is so thick in this as well. It's really nice. I then did this one, which was the complete opposite, because this was in the sea section. The other one was in the garden one. This was really, really nice to do, because I did copy this fully, basically. I just added a couple other things. And again, it was an experiment, because I had done a couple of things just on scrap pieces of paper to try stuff out. But I kind of just go straight into this without really minding, because if it goes wrong, I can just take it out. But I tried to go with it, and some things I draw in pencil first, some things I don't. Sometimes I just go straight for it. But yeah, I quite like how that one turned out too. My favourite one though is this is my next one. Very simple. But it's just a page with 4 different mushrooms on. She'd done a tutorial for each one. This one is my absolute favourite, because I think out of all of them, this one looks the most similar to hers, and I'm really, really proud of it. And I was thinking of doing cards and stuff maybe with these, and I can use ink or something. I actually quite like these 2. They're all, they've all got the same sort of base. You just change them around a bit. And I blocked it out, so I'd done it into 4 and measured it so that the stalks would line up. And this is my favourite, and I can't wait to do more in this, because I absolutely loved doing it. And the last thing I have to show you, which is massive, is my art. So we've actually almost finished this journeys topic. I'm nowhere near finishing my book. I'm only about halfway through, but that's to be expected. You won't finish a whole book in a term. But our next topic is identity. So I'm almost finished with the journeys one. I'm now working on my final piece. Basically, for the final piece, you have to put together either 1 or 2 artists that you've studied and do some referencing to them, but also with the theme of journeys. And I'll talk more about that when I show you my planning page. So I think I've got to here with Anselm Kiefer. This is my final piece that I did. I'm going to turn it this way. I'm not sure if you saw this, but this is my final piece, and it was basically, I was throwing colour on there. I added texture with newspaper and mud rock and string, and I used ink and paint and anything really. I just did a little bit of information about it there. I've got a random spare page here because we needed a double spread for the next thing we were doing, so I'm going to try and fill that somehow, maybe with just some more Anselm Kiefer stuff. So we worked on the final piece for quite a while, so there's not too much to show you, but we then worked on someone called Ed Fairbairn next. These are the 2 artists. So with our first topic, Sarah is showing us the kind of things we need to be doing, we go along with him. So he chose these two artists, but in future we'll get to choose our own. I actually really like Ed Fairbairn's work. I think it's really imaginative. He uses maps as a base and then draws, it's mainly feminine women on top of the maps. Usually when there's water, he'll miss out that and he won't draw on top of it. But I just did some information on him. I did a watercolour background, and then I also decided to link my presentation to Portsmouth. So this map in the background is actually a map of Portsmouth, because my final piece, this isn't my final piece, this is was on Portsmouth. So I took this porthole picture. I'd taken a picture similar to it, but so I had printed it out anyway, so I used it, and I basically drew on a black and white version of this Portsmouth map the porthole. So this is the porthole, and the idea behind it is that you would initially draw it out in pencil, and then you would use pen to darken up areas here, and that's what I did. And then I cut it out with my paper cutting knife, stuck it on the coloured one so they exactly aligned, and I'm really happy with this. This is probably one of my favourite things I've done, just because it's very different to anything I've done before, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was something very different for me. So this was my presentation page for those, and then I have started working on my final piece. So my idea behind it is that I'm linking it to the theme of journeys by season, because I think of seasons as a journey, and then I'm also taking the idea of Ed Fairbairn. I'm not doing Anselm Kiefer. You can link both if you want to, but I think I'm mainly going to stick with Ed Fairbairn. So I'm using the British Isles, and I've decided to have each section as a season. I'll put Northern Ireland with Ireland, but so as you can see here, Scotland is winter, Ireland and Northern Ireland is summer, England is autumn, Wales is spring. And so I've just done a bit, you have to plan out everything you're doing, you can't just go straight into it. I've also decided to do it on a canvas, so the final piece doesn't go into your book, it's something different. But I've got an A3 here, but I'll probably get Sarah to print that out even bigger for me. But my idea is that I've tested it out here on some cardboard. This is acrylic paint kind of put on, and then I've splattered gold acrylic on top. This is going to be my C, effectively, for the background of the canvas. And then I'm going to either get some cardboard or some really thick card and use double-sided sticky pad thingies to lift them up a bit. And like paper cut round them or something like that, and then try and represent them as seasons. I'm not really sure yet how I'm going to do that, but at least I know what I'm doing for the background and the start of it, so I can get started on this on Tuesday when I have my art lesson. So I'm really excited about this. It's something, I guess it's quite daunting doing it for the first time, because you know, I don't really know how it's going to turn out, and our reviews and stuff were this week. So with grades and stuff, I hope to do as well as I have done on my review. But yeah, I guess it's just a learning experience, and if I don't do too well on this, I'll know how to improve, and yeah, quite looking forward to it. So that's everything that I've got to show you, colouring and art-wise. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. As always, I really enjoy making these. It's something really, really fun, and just wrapping up everything I've done for the month. So I really hope you've enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next video. Bye everyone!